What is up, everybody, man? Welcome back into the Bluebloods. We're still here at Tennessee State University, and we are joined by defensive coordinator, Coach Brandon Fisher. Coach, I appreciate you, giving me a little bit of your time in the midst of spring practices.
I appreciate you coming down and having me on. So,
man, I had to. So I want to take a few steps back, man. You did spend some time at Auburn as an analyst under defense coordinator Kevin Steele.
Yeah.
What was your biggest learning experience in that season under him?
That was, I had a chance. My background full-time was in the National Football League. I went and coordinated for 2 years or a year at Southern Utah, and tried to copy paste a lot of the things that we'd done professionally. Greg Williams' system, the old Buddy Ryan system, and had some success with that. But went down there and working under Kevin Steele, and it was really eye-opening, truly how different the college game is. And for me to kind of adapt and blend, I would say, not philosophies, but in the NFL, you don't worry about the hashes. The hashes in college football are really important. And the tempo, just things like the quick call system and how he was able to communicate a lot of information to the Mike linebacker without having a headset on. Those things were fascinating, and it helped me to blend and bring some new flavor to, a philosophy that I came up with that, I believe is needed to have success in college football.
When you look at your career, starting at Montana, through the NFL ranks, defensive schemes and the way you build a roster is so different from the early 2000s to now. What do you think is the single biggest fundamental change that you've noticed in how you have to construct a defense?
I just look at just since the time we've been here how it's changed, because the portal has rapidly changed over the last 2 years. 2 years ago the portal existed for guys that were in the portal had some kind of a flag on them, whether be it injury, lack of production, a character issue. Those were the majority of the guys in the portal. That's not the case anymore. We've got guys that are coming up from the NAIA to the from D3, D2, wherever, that are coming up with something to prove. You got a lot of really good football players in the portal. I think whether it's NFL free agency, everybody truly wants to develop in-house. You want to develop your high school kids, the guys that you get a chance to coach for 2, 3, 4 years. That's how NFL free agency. You wanted to build through the draft, not through free agency. But you have to be able to plug holes now through the portal, especially at our level when you have guys that are moving up and moving on. We had 3 defensive linemen that we helped get to FBS schools this year, and that's ultimately our job as coaches, is to get guys to where they want to be, whether that's Sunday, whether that's an FBS opportunity, whether that's the USFL. That's why we exist. So we don't look at a guy going up to a FBS school as a slap in the face. We're encouraging it. We're trying to help guys if that's their dream. So when you lose a guy at the mid-year to something like that, well, it's hard. Hey, you hope you have freshmen waiting in the wings, but you may have to dip into the portal a little more. So, it's something that is rapidly evolving. I say big picture, you have to find guys that fit what you want culturally. Wow. You have to find guys that have the football character, that love the game, that play with the standard that we have begun to instill in our defense to make sure they fit. So.
Your linebacker unit this year.
Yep.
We were talking, we just got done talking to Gavon. We talked to Monroe yesterday. Yep. You guys have over 100 career starts in that room this year. When you look at that room, what have you seen from them this spring that they do so well, and why was it so important to go out and get some guys that had some starts behind them and knew what to do coming in?
Well, it's enough to take a guy that's been a 4-2 base, nickel defense to, hey, let's mess with some of this 3-3-5 stuff and put all 3 of them out there together. And there's a sense when you coach in that scheme, and you see why college coaches love it. You honestly feel like you're working with an extra guy at times, like you're playing with 12. And you see the speed at the second level. Those are 3 really good athletes, but like you said, they're guys that have played a lot of football, and that's really important for us when we've gotten into the portal. Is, hey, you gotta find guys that have produced. And Monroe, that's a guy that's been all SWAC, all everything, and, has come in here in day one. He's a good, high football character, just high production player, and, didn't miss a beat. And, I don't play those games where, hey, you bring in a portal guy, we're going to put him with the twos for 3 or 4 days. And no, we bring in guys that we expect to be day one starters, and we throw them out there for day one starters, and it's their job to lose it. And Monroe went in there, day one, and has proved that he belongs and is the leader of the group. And then getting a guy like James Green back healthy, just the experience that he has and the success he's had in the conference. And then, Kayvon Pope, the sky is the limit for him. He's incredibly talented, and we're expecting big things from him. So we're really excited about that group, as well as, we're starting to see, we got a chance to coach our first recruiting class for a first year. So the young linebackers that are now redshirt freshmen coming behind them and watching them push those guys. So.
You said you have a large NFL background. You said that learning experience under Steele was huge.
Mm-hmm.
How different is it handling recruiting? I feel like that's a whole side of coaching that people kind of like. If you aren't recruiting at a high level, you can't win.
You can't win if you're not willing to recruit and spend the time investing in it. You're not going to win. I don't care whether it is NAIA to the SEC. You have to be personally invested in building relationships with these kids, and it's that's you guys that are having success, especially at the FCS level, are the ones that are winning recruiting right now. We look at it. I look at it, that's another opportunity to compete. And personally, when you invest in a kid and you lose them to somebody else in the conference, or somebody is okay, hold up, where did we go wrong? Those are all chances to compete, and I think ultimately as coaches, we're all in this game because we're competition addicts. And so, if a kid were to go to, say, UT tomorrow, hold up now, something happened here. Kid goes out, hold up, what happened here? So that's how I look at it. It's another chance to get out there and compete. And
I love that.
That's what drives the off-season cycle. That's why I'm in this business. I love Saturdays. I love Sundays. I love the opportunity to compete. So
that's why I said there's no off-season in college.
Oh, there is no off-season in college football.
It's recruited 24/7.
It is,
yes. Now.
Yeah.
Another player I want to highlight before we move on is Bryce Phillips in the secondary. Last season, I feel like that Jackson State game kind of put him on the map for a lot of people, and then he continued that success all year, all conference, all newcomer. What have you seen from him this spring, and what is his potential?
Bryce, I would say, has as high of a ceiling as anybody in this building. I would expect Bryce in 2 years to be in an NFL camp somewhere. His brother is going to be drafted in the first or second round. When we went through the recruiting process with him, there were people that said he may be more talented than his brother. So, genetically, he's there. You've watched him develop as a player. Like you said, those first couple games, we went against a couple offenses that could put some points on the board. That Eastern Washington game, having played in that conference, I know how quickly that group puts up numbers and puts up points. And I warned the guys going in there and told them, I played on this red turf. If you haven't played on it, it's different. And there was a time, in the opener, a little bit of altitude, a little smoke, tongues were hanging out. We settled down. And the Jackson State game, I was really proud of the guys. We're sitting there. There's 2 minutes left in the game, and it's 9-3. Versus a group that I want to say put up maybe 52 against FAMU the week before. 59, yeah. So, and we know what that quarterback was capable of doing. And from then, Bryce just got better and better and better. You started the last 4 or 5 games of the season. It's like, wow, there's not many balls being thrown to that side of the field.
Almost none.
And that's when you know that, okay, teams are looking at us and saying, okay, this kid can cover. We start pushing balls to the other side of the field. So there's things you start to do structurally, schematically, rotationally that you try and help out there. And we have felt that we haven't had to help our other corner. We've got 3 or 4 other corners that we view as starters. From Fondren Hollis to Jalen McClendon, Darius Harper, Jay Sean Watkins. So we've got a group of corners that can line up and play. So
you made 2 national championship runs while you were playing at Montana.
Yeah.
Have you talked to the team about that process? Because we know when you get to that playoff, it's different, and the struggle it takes to make it. I think it was played at Chattanooga at the time, right? You're not at Frisco time yet, but the Chattanooga. You know what it takes to get there. Have you talked to the guys about that struggle and what they have to do to get to the pinnacle of FCS football?
Yeah, well, I stand up front and make a lot of fun of myself that there's a 5'10" white 9 technique that got to play in 2 national championships. This group I'm coaching is a lot more athletic than I ever was. But when I played, playing at Montana those years, there was just. And you see it, right? South Dakota State, North Dakota State, Montana State. There's just a level of toughness and discipline that especially late in the season. You know, when you start talking about having to play games outdoors in the elements after Thanksgiving, that those teams are built to win. But yeah, we've touched on some of that, and especially when we talk just how discipline and truly what it takes. It's not about, you know, the height, weight, speed. You know, it's about the other intangibles that we constantly stress that truly make a difference to make those stretch runs. And you know, yeah, we sat there and told some stories and pulled up some highlight tapes, and it really is at this level how hard it is to win 4 playoff games and play in a championship.
That's why the list of teams that have won national championships since 2000 is very
short.
And I was up at Montana State. I'm from Southern Alabama. I was at Montana State William & Mary game this past season.
Yeah.
It is different up there. I would not be built to play.
Well, they're in spring ball right now. We were checking the weather this morning, joking with our linebacker coach, and it's 3 degrees up there. And they're out there practicing doing spring ball. So you wonder why those groups are tough and built to win. Well, they're out there practicing spring ball right now.
I couldn't do it. I'll be completely honest with you, but I'd be remiss to ask, man, your career trajectory is going upwards and you have a great defense and we're expecting great things. Is head coaching something you ever see yourself getting into? Or are you good right now being where you are as a coordinator?
I will say I am incredibly blessed right now to work for Coach George. Coach George is an incredible man, and he is the reason I am here. Because there were opportunities after that time at Auburn. I heard Coach George was taking this on, and this is where I want to be. So as long as that man is here, my plan is to be his defensive coordinator. Yes, I would love to be a head coach at some point. I feel like I was raised with a unique opportunity to sit behind that door and see a lot of those things that come with being a head coach at an early age that nobody else saw. You know, so I've gained some valuable experience, but I love calling this defense. I love this group I get a chance to coach, and you know, the goal is to take the next step from where we were last year.
I love the look in your eyes when you started talking about Coach George. I mean, you could tell that you want to make him as successful as possible. You have a chip on your shoulder in terms of, man, if I don't succeed, I know he can't succeed, so I need to do my best to put
100%.
the best product.
100%. And there's nothing better in this game working for a head coach that you want to see him successful and that deserves to be successful, because that's not the case everywhere in the country. You know, I speak to different side that every head coach isn't built like Coach George is. And you can see everything, I believe everything that man has touched has turned to gold. Since he played the game, since he stepped away from the game, and he's done it with character. He's done it the right way. And it's becoming harder and harder to find in this profession. You know, you see this profession that, what is it, 50, 60, 70% turnover rate year in and year out. And we talk about the kids and truly making a difference. Like, I can look around this indoor and see the difference that we've made in I think going on this month, it's 2 years since we've been here. And we have truly made a difference. He has made a difference. And, that's my heart right now, is to continue on that path.
Man, I love it. And the final question, Coach, kind of lighthearted. You guys signed up for that North Dakota State home and home. Have you talked to Coach George, the AD? We need the Tennessee State home and home.
I would much rather be indoors. Let's say that. I would much rather take this group somewhere indoors, because I can tell stories all day. I remember warming up for a national championship. The Tuesday practice of a national championship, we went out there as the long snappers and punters, and every ball we hit popped in pregame warm-ups because it was so cold. We're talking 10 to 15 below, and the bladder on the footballs would pop. And we wanted to go back in the, so we're sitting there rapid firing balls, trying to pop them all so we could go practice in our gym before we got on the plane. So I don't want to go play in one of those. I'm not built that way anymore.
You said it's either September or we're in a dome somewhere. Coach, I love it. I appreciate your time, Coach. This was great. It was great to finally meet you guys. Make sure to stay tuned for more content right here on the Blue Bloods. For Coach Fisher, for myself, we are out for right now.